Dynamic Punch on Poliwrath was definitely a great decision to change on this team in general. So this is a follow-up video to my previous video where I was running Ferrothorn lead with Araquanid safe swap and Shadow Poliwrath for the closer. But I was running Scald because that's what I had on my Poliwrath at the time. And on top of that, I pretty much have like no charge TM, so I wasn't really, even if I wanted Dynamic Punch, I probably wasn't going to get it if I used my charge TMs. But I ended up using an Elite Charge TM, and yeah, so now I have Dynamic Punch on my Poliwrath. I legitimately used an Elite Charge to get it because it would have saved me less resources or whatever, or it would have saved my charge TMs I needed for the rocket event. Anyways, enough of that. So pretty much I like Araquanid safe swap here because a lot of times people don't like shielding, and I'm just gonna keep spamming bug buzzes because on the off chance that I do get defense drops, I can actually flip even lantern switches. But at this point it doesn't really matter because I think I just kind of bring in Poliwrath anyways and then catch a move on my Ferrothorn, and then I just bring back in Poliwrath and I'm going for the farm down. And I got really lucky with the fact that they have Lucario here in the back because that's pretty much the only reason why I was able to actually win this match, because everything from here is so low that I could just farm it with counter. I actually didn't even need to throw this energy. I think I just panicked slightly, but yeah, not really necessary. So yeah, even though I was having an amazing time running this team yesterday, so, or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. You should check out the live stream. I did 2 live streams recently, and yeah, pretty much I had a great run. These are some sets from that stream. If you want to check out the full live stream, I'll have a link in the description or in the comments below. But yeah, honestly, had a lot of fun running this team, but when I was playing a little bit this morning, it felt like immediately I started running into everyone, like constant Ferrothorn mirror matches. And that was something I wanted to kind of mention at the beginning of this video too, was the mirror match you want to throw Thunder because the Power Whip is double resisted due to the fact that it's a steel type and grass type. So you really just want to be going for, is it? I think it, Thunder just generally is going to do a little bit more damage. I know it seems weird, but in the mirror. But wait, is it double resisted? I'm trying to think. Does grass resist grass? I feel like it does. I feel like it does. Anyways, point being, this was a pretty cool team. But I think when I was playing this morning, a lot of people were running like anti-backline Poliwrath, which makes a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of like double flyer, which my team here will struggle with. Like, definitely. The Jellicents can be a little problematic, which are really popular right now as well. So I feel like there is almost something warranted to running something like Lissapod over Araquanid, and maybe running Aerial Ace as one of your charge moves for the Poliwrath matchups. Yeah, honestly, it's like Ferrothorn's pretty dang good, but a lot of people are trying to run teams that can handle Ferrothorn because it's so prevalent. At least like when I was like around like almost like 2400 elo, and I haven't been playing that serious all season, but I climbed about like 300, 400 elo just running this team in the past 2 days. But yeah, like where I'm at right now, everyone's kind of like, you know, running a similar type of concept where they're trying to bait out Ferrothorn, or they are leading Ferrothorn. And yeah, it's really interesting how it like changed so much in one day. But it probably was like that the whole time. Maybe it's more just where I was at on the elo range. I'm not entirely sure. But GBL in general tends to be very organic in that regard, that even though there might not be, maybe there's like 3 leads or variations of a lead that you might want to go through, like the rock, paper, scissors. Some days are just more dominant than others with certain leads. And I think right now, Ferrothorn, at least like this morning, It was everywhere, and I felt like that also meant that people were running a lot of like Lucario leads, Poliwrath leads, things that could just typically handle Ferrothorn. So yeah, anyways, I was just kind of getting into that. Araquanid I do feel like is a little spicy, but when I was playing, if you watch my live stream, I do feel like it was actually kind of insane how consistent it was. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's like a give and take when you're running something like Araquanid. It's a little bit bulkier, but it's kind of slow. It's like slow and steady. But something like Golisopod, I feel I might want to experiment a little bit with. I mean, there's a couple of different Pokemon that I haven't even tried using yet in the format that, I don't know, they kind of like, I faced them a couple times, and whenever I faced them, I would be like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But I didn't really do anything after that, and like I haven't seen those Pokemon since. And I saw Rise posted a video, for example, earlier about Bruxish, and I think I even faced one on stream recently, but yeah, or I had one in one of my most recent fossil videos. And I was like, oh yeah, Bruxish could actually be kind of interesting with the way it's kind of evolving. I mean, it's obviously not going to be the best option against something like Ferrothorn. It's going to get hard-walled. But yeah, with like the right team, it might actually be like amazing for dealing with the things that counter Ferrothorn. So really interesting. Anyways, I mean, not necessarily. There's still like some Pokemon that run around like Registeel that you're gonna have to have something to deal with that. But yeah, this is a scenario where I think I may even like in this battle. I think I end up flipping this situation. No, I think I just let it go because I can't even. No, excuse me. There's like rare. It's only. I was saying this a little bit earlier. The only time I can flip the lantern is if I get the defense drop with the bug buzz on the very first one. Otherwise, it's okay. Like, I feel like if I'm switching in that scenario and I'm getting caught with a lantern, that means I was already in a bad lead. So the way the format kind of works, Ferrothorn and Poliwrath, I feel like with energy can actually just deal with a lot of things that are already floating around the format. So it's not always like if I lose the lead and I don't have the best switch also, the way I look at it is at least I'm disrupting, you know, I might have to just bring my back line early type of situation. But yeah, Dynamic Punch makes so much difference because I realized when I was playing in my previous video and also like in the stream that the Jellicent, I mean not the Jellicent matchups, the mirror matchups were just like, oh, if I don't have Dynamic Punch, I'm always going to lose to the mirror if they have Dynamic Punch, which everyone pretty much does at this point. Except for the occasional pup Icy Wind, which I still see. And yeah, honestly, that can be kind of scary. So yeah, the Jellicents are very common too. I feel like, honestly, I feel like maybe some variation of... That's why I was thinking of Golisopod, because it does have Shadow Claw. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be able to smack it hard, because you're probably going to have to use Aerial Ace as your charge attack into Jellicent if you're running Golisopod. But yeah, maybe you'd run X's or Aerial Ace for Golisopod, maybe for like a stab attack, and then just some Aerial Ace for Poliwrath, and maybe like, I don't know, Bugs. Because you could just use X Scissor for Ferrothorn if you really wanted to. So whenever I get the Poliwrath leads, I don't know if I stated this in my last video, I can't remember. I always stay in and I go for a Power Whip before switching out. That's what I like to do. Because at least I'll get a shield, and then when I bring a Araquanid, they either throw Icy Wind here or they try to throw a move, and it doesn't really do a lot regardless. So yeah, in this scenario they actually stay in and they're just throwing multiple Icy Winds, which I think is fine. Like I said, I don't have a great lead anyways, and at this point I'm actually in a pretty good position to just, you know, bring Poliwrath low enough that I could probably even bring my own Poliwrath and farm, and they might, yeah, I'm able to remove it, which is great. They end up having Mawile here in the back, and I think I just go for the Dynamic Punch. And they do commit the shield, which makes sense. I'm going to commit my shield as well. And they do end up just throwing Pup, which makes sense. Because I didn't think they were actually able to be at enough energy to throw Play Rough or something. So I just throw the Icy Wind here, knowing they can farm a little bit there, and then they end up having Berserker, which is just going to be a game because they have a shield and I can get to the Dynamic Punch before they can double shield me, or double charge move me, excuse me. So yeah, another scenario with Poliwrath lead and playing it very similar, where I stay in, and they can't get to the Dynamic Punch before I can get, I can get Power Whip before. So that's why I play it that way, and they end up bringing Jellicent, which is a little tough, but I'm just going to spam the Bug Buzzes, and I don't think I'm even going to shield, because they're going to at least have to throw 2 Shadow Balls, and at this point I'm like, whatever. If I live, I might just throw the Bubble Beam before I die. If I don't live, that's fine too. And I do just barely live, so I do throw Bubble Beam just to lower Jellicent's attack, which will be nice. And I'll wait at the timer, and they'll bring back in Ferrothorn. And the thing about this scenario is I could just take a Shadow Ball at this point, so I will. Kind of risking it for the biscuit, and I'm just going to kind of build the energy up on my Ferrothorn and then switch in Poliwrath and farm down with counter. In comes the opposing Poliwrath. I'm going to end up committing the shield because I don't want to get smacked by a Dynamic Punch. Even if they do bait me, I don't want to risk getting hit by the Dynamic Punch, which they did end up throwing. I'm able to remove their Poliwrath with Dynamic Punch, and then they bring in the Ferrothorn, and this is looking pretty good because now I can actually just go for something like Icy Wind, and it's gonna come down to the wire, but it's super close. I knew I wanted to shield because I wanted to expel all energy on this Ferrothorn, and it kind of forces them to throw the double Power Whip because I'm so low on. I have to go for Thunder here also, by the way. I didn't know if I could even live. I knew I had energy, and I knew I had to go for Thunder, and thankfully it's enough to take down the opposing Ferrothorn. GG. Crazy battles, for sure. Yeah, pretty bad lead here with Lucario, and I'm going to stay in, and I'm just going to try to go for Thunder, and just either get damage off or get shield, and I'm just not going to shield at all. So at this point, I think I might even just let Ferrothorn go. No, I just insta-swap to Poliwrath because they took the damage. And because they switch in Ferrothorn here, it actually works out pretty good in my favor because I have that little bit of an energy lead, and now I can throw the Icy Wind threatening for a shield. And I can shield, of course, and then I can just farm down. So I have all this energy now. Lucario is not really going to be a threat. I can just farm it, and they end up having their own Poliwrath in the back. And initially I was like, oh, I should have just thrown Dynamic Punch. And yeah, I got really nervous, but then I was like, oh wait, I still have Araquanid at full health, so it doesn't actually matter. But yeah, I could have just thrown Dynamic Punch there and it would have pretty much just ended the game, like immediately, like after, I mean, I had a couple more counters after, but it would have been faster. But yeah, I was like, well, it has minus attack and I still have a full health of Araquanid with a shield. There's no way, like look how much damage that does. It does nothing. That's why I've been enjoying using Araquanid. But where I'm at currently in the cup, it feels that there's a lot of like Flyers and Jellicent, which my backline tends to struggle with. So I might make adjustments if we're going to keep playing some Fossil Cup this week. But I mean, I don't know, maybe you'll be lucky and you'll lobby at a time where this team has some really great matchups, because as you saw, even some of those battles, I had pretty bad leads, but I still was able to overcome. And yeah, some of the decisions that I make are kind of like I don't really play the team too consistent. Like I'd say Araquanid's like the safe swap. I guess that's probably what I even titled this video, is Araquanid safe swap. But I feel like in some of these matches, you really have to use your best judgment and kind of like assume that if you're seeing like a Ferrothorn lead, there's a really good chance it's, you know, Jellicent, Mantine, Pelipper, or something like that in the back line. Pelipper, Golisopod I've seen even. Yeah, really interesting teams. I even saw a Quaquaval, which I was like, whoa, actually, could that be good? I mean, it did good against me, but I was like, my team isn't that great against something like Quaquaval in the back. But I was like, that seems kind of interesting. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about running that Pokemon, but it can spam. I mean, it has Wing Attack, it has Close Combat, and I'm assuming yeah, I think it was running Aerial Ace also. So yeah, actually not like a bad moveset for this format, but I don't know if it like does enough damage. You know what I mean? I feel like it's like one of those Pokemon that maybe once it gets a Shadow variant, it might be a little more threatening offensively, but It seemed pretty good. I mean, but it's a fighting water type. That's the thing. It doesn't really take resisted damage from the counters from Poliwrath, and at that point, it's like, should I just be running Poliwrath? It doesn't make that much of it. It's not like stab wing attacks, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know, maybe I'll experiment with that. Maybe if any of you watching have tried using Quaquavel, you can let me know. But yeah, as you can see, there's a Mantine here, tough battle. Also, just a reminder to hit the like button. It does help my content out a lot here on YouTube. And also just I just wanted to plug some of my music I've been working on. I just released a new song called Local Almaduros. It's a ska song. Search Local Almaduros by Rob Sassy. It's a it's the 5th single, excuse me, that I've released. That's going to be on my full album coming out in September. If you're interested, check it out. It would mean a lot to me. Stream it on Spotify so it can help me out in that algorithm. And yeah, I mean, listen to it on whatever you prefer. But I really appreciate you tuning into the video, and I think this may in fact be the final battle of the video, which I get a great lead, and I think this was a pretty good set overall. I think it's like a 4-1 set potentially. And when I saw my lead, I was like, okay, that's a great lead for me. And when they brought in Ferrothorn, that's what I'm trying to say. I could bring in Araquanid as my safe swap. It actually isn't a bad decision, but I just felt like Shadow Poliwrath is so oppressive here, and I'm gonna be able to, even if I have the double shield. Okay, I was a little slow on the switch here, but even if I was if I had a double shield, I was thinking it doesn't really matter, because I feel like just having Ferrothorn being able to run free in the format is really good. And when I saw that the person had the Slowbro, I actually realized, oh, I'm not actually scared of this because I have my Araquanid. And between my Ferrothorn and Araquanid and the way that I had the alignment, I didn't think there was any way I could really lose this, even though I had no shields versus their 2. Because 1, Araquanid is going to be able to deal with Slowbro pretty good with even my fast attack, and then I can bubble beam the Quagsire, as you can see here, and then just bring in Ferrothorn. And they end up just letting Quagsire go entirely, which is great for me, because now the Slowbro is kind of in a pickle where it's not going to be able to do enough damage realistically, and it's taking too much from Bullet Seed. And yeah, it's not even able to really remove Ferrothorn, and then Araquanid comes in almost like perfectly full health and just bug bites down. So yeah, thanks for tuning into this video. Hit that like button like I said, and with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the Sass Squad is getting stronger each and every day. Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. If you want to watch more Go Battle League content from me, consider watching this video right here, or this video right here.